2, 1. Okay, there you go. And we're in.
And we're in. We're in the
And we're
Matrix.
live.
Wait, what's that? The Spy Kids 3D movie. We're in the Spy Kids 3D movie, and we put on our 3D glasses to feel like we're in the video game.
Yeah.
But hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Yemmy the Ferret, here with PlayerTwo, and you're listening to PlayerTwo and Yemmy Power Hour. This is the show where we're trapped in an elevator for 1 hour, and the conversation only lasts for 1 hour, and at that hour mark, the elevator doors slide close, and then Player2 takes his mask off, and he says, abracadabra, and he turns into an alien and gets into a spaceship, goes to Area 51, and helps out the resistance. Anyways, yeah, I'm giving away all our secrets. I'm giving away my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Anyways, how are you today, P2? How you doing?
I'm doing very good, man. I'm a little bit tired because I've just come back off my holidays, and I don't know if you ever get like this, of where you've been on your holiday and you've been away for like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever, and you come back and you're so tired, it's like you haven't been on holiday. Do you know what I mean?
After
do you ever get
every
that?
weekend, I feel like that.
Oh, so how are you, dude? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's just obnoxiously hot. That's why the air conditioner's on. So y'all can sue me, but it's staying on. It's staying on for this episode.
Nice. Right, shall we get straight into it and let the power wheel of hour decide what is going on today?
Spin the wheel round and round where it stops.
This is going to be episode 3 now.
Yeah, episode 3. That's 3 topics we've started with.
Yeah, well, it's going to be the 3rd. So Spyro is gone. The slang UK versus US is gone. So, guys, if you've got any things that you think would be like a good kind of topic starter, let us know in the comment section so we can add it. Because otherwise, we want to keep it interesting on. Right, here we go. So, what's your prediction, Yemmy? What do you think is going to pop up in the power wheel of hour?
Titanic the conspiracy theories.
Do you think the conspiracies one is going to come out?
I think so.
Wouldn't it be a...
You can't lie to me, P2. I know it's not.
I'm not even joking. I was about to... Conspiracies has actually popped up. I can't believe that. That's unbelievable.
I don't believe it, but we'll go with it anyway.
I promise you. I absolutely promise you it's conspiracies. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I can't believe that. What?
Well, I didn't need
Illuminati
Mr. Predicto for that one. It's all rigged. It's all rigged, like the EA microtransactions.
It's clearly scripted.
Here's our first conspiracy, okay? The power wheel of hour is rigged.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get into the hot topic, because this is something that we touched upon in the fair business, and it's something that I want to get back onto, because the Titanic, it was a big F. We all know that from last episode.
F in the chat for the Titanic, lads.
But it was also a biggie conspiracy. Don't you agree? It's something's fishy, and I'm not just talking about the animals in the water. I'm talking someone made it so that the hull was weaker. Got it.
Yes, a lot of interesting things. Like, that's why I think that's why people, if there's something a little bit odd about something going on, the conspiracies tend to sort of flood around it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I think that it kind of, whether they intend to or not, like, in a way, you should just let it do what it's doing. Otherwise, you're creating themselves the conspiracy theory, I think, by doing that by default,
Right. Well, there's one conspiracy where I don't know if maybe it's more of a myth, but that someone was actually stuck in between the hull of the ship, and you could hear like tapping or banging coming from the ship. Of course, obviously that died down as the days went on, and probably that person inside the hull of the ship expired, was cooked into a tasty meatball. Yeah.
Went past the sell-by date.
I don't know. How long do you think you could last in between the hull of the Titanic and how long do you think you could last in there? What would you do? Could you really do anything?
I would think that was probably one of the worst ways to die, to be perfectly honest, because in a way it's essentially being buried alive. You know, I think potentially a day, 2 days. That I want it to sort of end quickly so that you get that, because that's torturous. That's horrible. Could you imagine that? That's actually awful. So no, because if you're the only thing you can do is bang on massive metal walls, which most people aren't going to hear,
Yeah.
and it's just you're literally waiting. That is horrendous, man.
You know,
Holy crap!
I'm afraid to go on big ships, cruise ships specifically, because there was a movie that my father had me watch back in the day. It wasn't I mean I watched Titanic, but there was another one. It was called Poseidon. I don't know if you know what this movie is
I think
about.
I've heard it, but then I haven't seen it.
So there's two different versions of Poseidon. There's the Poseidon Adventure, and there's just Poseidon. Poseidon
Okay.
is the newest one, and Fergie's in it. But
Okay.
essentially, what happens is there's a rogue wave, which is a random wave, a giant wall of water that comes, and it actually topples the cruise ship over, and it spins it upside down. And a group of people are trying to get to the hull of the ship so that they can go out through the propellers and get out safely. And
That
the ship is
doesn't sound like
obviously
a good idea.
yeah, it's obviously sinking as they're trying to do it. So it's actually the best idea because everyone who was in that little air pocket, there was like New Year's Eve. Everyone's like celebrating there, and the ship turns over, and the water just crushes in, and eventually some people escape. I'm not going to give out who, but some people escape, and it was a very frightening movie to watch when you're young and impressionable. And the
Heck
older
no.
version had way scarier, like gory scenes in it. The newer version's all CGI.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit more held back, but the
Yeah.
old one, woo, that'll scare you.
No. Thing is, I'm not a massive fan of the ocean.
Yeah, me
Even
neither.
if we went to the beach, like they'd be like, "Oh, you coming in?" And but nah. Just
Well,
gonna
the
chill,
jaws
like,
might be in there.
further away if possible.
I could just see the sharks putting on their bibs. They're like, oh, here comes
Yeah.
Yemmy.
This is just giving me flashbacks now. Shark Tale, like the shark from there being like,
Oh,
no.
Shark
So
Tale.
no, I'm with
That's
you
a
on that
whole
one.
different topic.
What do you mean? Everyone goes to the fishy washy place, like the whale wash or something with
The
it,
whale
or
wash,
something?
yeah. The car wash. And Will Smith's
Yeah.
there. He cons a bunch of sharks, or all the townspeople, into thinking he killed a shark, and
Yes.
goes from there. I actually just watched an entire retrospective on Shark Tale. Someone went over the finer details of it with a fine tooth comb, and they actually claim that the Shark Tale is better than Shrek the Third, which I say no.
Okay.
No.
So what was their reasons behind that?
They said that it was a better put together movie. The jokes landed better than Shrek the Third,
Right.
and they said even though the animation was awful, they still enjoyed the campiness of the horrid fish animations, stuff like that.
Okay.
Me personally, I think Shrek the Third is a fine movie. It's not the best out of the trilogy, but it's a good movie. I liked it when I was a kid, and I still like it now. I find it
The
funny,
thing is, though, right?
enjoyable.
If you have to describe a movie as fine, doesn't that really paint the picture?
Compared
You
to
know?
other DreamWorks movies that came out around the same time, it's pretty good.
No. You can't rename it pretty good because of a comparison. You said it's fine as a
Well,
person who
if you're
likes
comparing it
Shrek.
to whatever Disney movie came out that year, then it's like, yeah, their Shrek the Third is fine. Fine, fine, just like the Aerosmith song. Okay.
Oh wow! Oh my days! Right, come on then. What about another conspiracy that you've heard? I don't want to get into like the really big one because I think that'll be safer for both of us.
Well, one of the bigger conspiracies, which is more just a kind of goof, is that Barack Obama was a reptile person.
Oh, I haven't heard this one. Go on.
It's just a splinter group of people. Obviously, they were Republican, and they put it out there that Barack Obama was not born in America, but he was born in outer space, and he was actually a
okay.
reptile person, kind of like the movie V or the TV show V.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like went from there. Nothing really happened because of it. You know, it's because it was so stupid that who's
What? So
gonna believe
what
that?
basis do they have that he was a reptile person?
Absolutely nothing. Like literally, they just kind of came out of the blue. I think it was more of a meme than or it was started as a conspiracy and then just turned into a meme. To be honest with you,
Right,
that's how it flourished into such a beautiful, beautiful laughing matter.
Oh, did he ever respond to it? Because he seems like the kind of person that would.
No, he's just on vacation 24/7 now. He doesn't care.
To be honest, I think that's part of like every person that's been a president. You then like kind of never hear of again for like at least 5 to 10 years, and then suddenly they're like, "Oh, ex-president, blah 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 blah, was spotted doing this," and you're like, "Yeah, I don't care."
I'm back.
Yeah,
I think I care more about what Barack Obama's doing in 5 years than what any other president for the past few years that I've been alive to vote in elections I care about. You know, George Bush, yeah, whatever. George W. Bush, yeah, you know, he's whatever. But it's like these elections that I've actually had a voice in, a vote. Like the Obama versus Romney and Obama versus McCain and the Trump versus Hillary. Like I actually care about these presidents, and I kind of want to follow up with it. So I understand where my parents and my grandparents come from, where they follow these presidents like hawks. They're like, oh my god, did you see what Ronald Reagan did? It's like, he's been dead for about 15 years, Grandpa.
Get up with the times.
Are there any amazing UK conspiracies like with the Barack Obama reptile man?
No, to be perfectly honest, because when it comes to especially like politicians and like celebrities, it's usually just like very slanderous stories, or like something that will be very very damaging to their career. So like there's not like anything like I think when it comes to like conspiracy things, I think the more like regional maybe it's to do with like a building, or maybe it's to do with like an area. But because America's got more of that type of history, mainly I think the Area 51 kind of like, you know, intrigues people in that kind of way. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
part of it, like when you think of like things like the Illuminati, stuff like that, they're all kind of like American based. So I think like for other places, they don't tend to really have those kind of things. Well, unless there's one that I haven't heard of, but generally speaking, no. The media just tends to rip people apart for something they may or may not have done, and then after about like a year, nobody gives a shit anymore.
Well,
so yeah.
I looked up some recent conspiracies, and I just remembered, and this was a huge one, the Malaysian Airlines flight that disappeared over the ocean. It just kind of blipped out of existence. Is this like a lost scenario where they all went to purgatory and now they're all battling with the inhabitants of the island?
What do the numbers mean?
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? That's a conspiracy theory right there. But yeah, the disappearance of that flight like flustered everyone, and pieces of it came up around, you know, every so often.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have made theories about it, like it was abducted by aliens, or it got shot out of the sky, or
I really rate a conspiracy theory when there's kind of like hard, like I would say evidence, like with quotation marks, because obviously you take it with a pinch of salt. You can't believe everything you read. No, do you know what I mean? But like I do really switch off from a conspiracy when they're like, "Oh yeah, a UFO come and took it." What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, come on. Like, I'm not being like, if you want to believe in that stuff, feel free. But don't come to me and say, "Oh yeah, a plane full of like 300 odd people, they're now in space." Like, what are you talking about? Do you know what I'm talking? Like that.
Yeah, I mean, if aliens did come to the planet and they didn't have the technology to stealth themselves, and they could just pick out airplanes out of the sky, don't you think we would have noticed something a little bit?
Also, why would they just pick one?
Just one. We need these 300 people to
Yeah,
stick probes up their
like,
asses.
what do you think they're going? Oh, hold on. There's like 10,000 flights a day. I don't know, right? So
Yeah.
if you think about it, why would they go? Oh, we're gonna pick that one Malaysian Airlines flight. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Surely
Yeah.
they would pick in any kind of form of scientific study. If you did research with one field test, it would be incredible data. You wouldn't be able to use it. It wouldn't give you any scientific proof or understanding or anything, right? So if they were going to come down and, oh, they're going to steal people to do tests and all that kind of shit, right? Surely they would steal, like, all 10,000 if they're that capable of abducting a fucking aircraft that's going at, like, 600, 700 miles an hour. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Like, it's just mental. Think about the rationality of it. I'm
Well,
also
the people who usually come up with conspiracy theories are usually irrational people. So,
well, I do want to sort of,
or they just they have oh, what's the word? I don't remember the word I'm thinking for. But they're mostly irrational. They have fears that that manifest themselves in these conspiracies, like the new Coke conspiracy, where
how have you heard of all of these? Like, I haven't even heard of them.
changed their formula and made Coke worse. Bum
Oh,
bum
come on.
bum.
I was wondering then because when you said about that, I was like, I never hear about these things, right? And then when you said that, I remember seeing a tweet from someone because I think it was on my trending page on Twitter of where they tweeted, turn Coke back to what it was, or put the cocaine back in it, or just leave it alone. I was like, random, okay.
Well, it is. That's not a conspiracy though. The cocaine and the coke. That was
It's
actually.
factual. Yeah, I know that's
I believe
factual.
that was factual. But I don't think they've like changed it since then, unless you're counting like Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Coke blah blah blah. Although I will say this, okay, P2,
Oh,
maybe I believe in the conspiracy.
okay.
All right, because Pepsi has tasted the same my entire life, but Coca-Cola, it tastes different.
Oh, have you considered this though? That your taste buds change as you get older.
That is facts and logic, and I will not be.
I will not listen to that reason.
Reason and logic will not be in my headphones. Let's ask Mr. Predicto.
Yes.
Did Coke change their formula?
Yeah. Inside scoop.
It is a certainty.
Oh!
Oh, confirmed.
Oh! Facts
Well,
and logic that.
I can't. Mr. Predicto is the thing. Well, there's one that I was wanting to speak to you about it because at the moment my geek and nerdy levels are excelling like past 9,000 or whatever.
Over 9,000.
Yeah, like literally. So anything to do with like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, I'm always interested in, right? So there's one going about, and I'm just researching it now because I want to get it completely correct. Have you heard about the Professor Oak conspiracy theory from Pokemon?
He sends you out to find 151 Pokemon, and he bangs your mum.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that one before. That's a famous one. I agree. I think I partially agree with that one. They're about the same age. They look, you're a little kid who's kind of being too clingy to his mother, and he's like, "Hey kid, want to be a Pokemon master? Here's a Pokemon for free. Go get me 150,
Right.
all 151."
This is one of them, right? That before, they're talking about the lore that you experienced when you played the Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that when you're reading like certain tablets, it speaks about a great war. Yes.
I'm gonna agree with you, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So I think there's tablets that you can read. I think it's maybe in like Cinnabar Island in particular, where you can like read about things that have happened, and they mention a great war, right?
Okay.
As one of their things, okay? So the theory behind this is that instead of like guns and stuff like that, you were, men especially, a Pokemon breeder and fighter, right? So you'd Pokemon battle, for example, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So all of these regions, maybe assuming maybe Kanto, because obviously that's where the sort of thing begins, that all of the men and Pokemon engage in this epically huge
Orgy.
battle. For fuck's sake. This is a serious conspiracy theory, Yemmy.
I'm sorry. All right.
Right. So they went on a massive
recentering
battle.
my chi.
Yes. Okay. So first point is why you don't really see any men in towns apart from mainly those that are professors. Okay?
Okay.
I'm mainly speaking of sort of Gen 1 related stuff. Ash's father...
The best gen.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Ash's father doesn't exist. Misty's father doesn't exist. Brock's father is still one of the major sort of war because he's potentially one of the Elite Four, isn't he, right?
Uh-huh.
Bruno or whatever. So why is there such a big emphasis on being a Pokemon master? Catching them all and being the best trainer, the best this? And why is it only kids that are the Pokemon trainers apart from those that are gym leaders? Okay?
Okay.
So the theory sort of behind it is people like Lieutenant Surge was a member of the army, and because this battle was so great, it's killed a lot of things. That's why Pokemon like Kabuto, Kabutops, etc. are the only fossilized versions. Aerodactyl, a lot of Pokemon you don't see. There's only one version of particular Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like you don't get like you're gonna get loads of Rattata and whatever and stuff like that, but there's one Mewtwo, there's one Moltres, there's one Articuno, there's one. Do you see what I mean? Like there's a lot of the main Pokemon. There are very, very few versions of, which means that they would have been used for particular things, obviously during the war, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the kind of mentality behind it, and people like Professor Oak and Lieutenant Surge and a few others are the main reason to try and get the sort of new generation of army, essentially, so that if there is another great war, they'll have plenty of amazing people ready to fight the battle.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? Deep, bro.
Far out, dude.
Like, first of all,
That's
who's
crazy.
on Mount Time?
Well, I mean that's pretty solid. That's not. It's
not
better
a
than
bad one, is it?
my theory. Just Professor Oak's banging your mom. He's actually
Professor
training
Oak
you to
and your
become a
mother.
soldier and banging your mom. So.
Yeah, I like it. There's another one as well, and maybe we'll have another. Is that Professor Oak is actually the mastermind behind all of the evil teams in Pokemon.
Reggie.
Okay, and the main reason is because all of the bad teams, so to speak, that exist within the Pokemon universe have a particular symbol that when you look at it either makes a letter or is a letter.
Ooh, okay.
And when you put these letters together, they spell out the word Gramp, which is what Gary calls him.
Oh, hold on.
Right?
But is Gary a part of a team?
Well, that's the theory, man. You know.
Oh, okay.
There is a video that I will link to you later, and we'll have a discussion. Because obviously by that point the lift doors would have shut, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe that's something you'll have to research by yourself.
Yeah, ripperoni for those people. Well, let's talk about the biggest conspiracy of all, okay?
Okay.
And there's a lot of people who they don't believe this conspiracy, but you know it's pretty hard hitting and it's pretty actually it's pretty saddening actually to a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
It's the theory that Player 2 doesn't like Detective Pikachu.
No, it's not a theory. It's pure fact.
It's not a conspiracy. It's not a
Not a
theory.
conspiracy. I will confirm that 1000%. That is one of the worst, most cringiest movie plots of all time.
You're telling me that Ryan Reynolds, your crush, your
I
Hollywood crush,
love Ryan Reynolds.
could not
but
save that movie for you.
You're trying to tell me, right? Tell me honestly, right? if Ryan Reynolds wasn't in that movie, and it wasn't about Pokemon, that film would have not even got to cinemas.
It would have been a very weird concept if it didn't have Pokemon in it. That's for sure.
No, but my point is, right? Imagine that, like, that film would have, like, the plot of it is so poor, like, it's so bad. I think they've literally designed it for children to just experience a happy ending type thing. Where, to be honest, the majority of fans of Pokemon are now in their mid to late 20s, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So for the most part of kids who grew up, especially with that franchise, were expecting something impeccable because it's with movie making, with CGI, with the actors that are there, like they could have done so much. They could have done so much. It could have been amazing. Like they could have made like a real life version of like the game, had characters who were Team Rocket, characters who were Brock and Misty, characters who was Ash, and actually go around like the Pokemon game kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Where you've got like an aspect then, and you've got the kids then that can understand how the franchise started and things in like a real world kind of thing. It would also match up to the games that they've been releasing with the Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, right? And then the people who are hardcore fans who grew up with this stuff are also happy. So like you hit so many different things then, and then the scope to make it an actual movie franchise of where like say in the first movie they get to do Kanto. So you see all the things happen in Kanto where they meet Brock, they meet Misty, they go, he's getting all his badges, he gets his Pokemon, that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah.
then the next movie could be Gen 2. Do you get what I'm saying? So like this scope. Whereas this, because they've kind of globed it in one massive thing with the most stereotypical half-assed writing for like how they saved the fucking day, like it's boring as fuck. Like I will, if they release the second one, I would go and see it purely because I like Pokemon, but I would not have high hopes for it by any stretch of imagination. I was massively let down by it. One of the coolest things about it were the end credits where they had the original kind of artwork for the monsters and stuff. That was the coolest bit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I think it was very predictable. It was very predictable. Mr. Predicto didn't even need to be summoned in order to predict that movie.
Yeah, the day off that day.
Quite literally, this is my biggest gripe with it is they start the movie off and the kid goes to the big office with the old man in the wheelchair and there's the helmet sitting there and he goes, "Oh, this will merge the minds of humans and Pokemon." And right from there you know that that's the real bad guy, even though the other guy seems like a jerk and he is a jerk.
Yeah.
You know that it's the old man. He's gonna do something with that helmet and do something. I mean, I couldn't have predicted that he would have transformed everyone into Pokemon or merged their minds like that. But still, it's like that dude is definitely he's a little off his rocker. And then another thing that the bigger thing is
I love it when you use like British slang.
Well, the police absolutely miss the Greninja stars, and Ryan Reynolds just waddling along, and he's like, "Oh, there's a ninja star here." And it was just so weird. And then also, why did are the Bulbasaur mind linked with Mewtwo or something? And also, tell me what a healer Pokemon is, P2.
I don't know. I don't know because, like, this is again. I think a lot of things that they were able that kind of really annoyed me. Like, for instance, that girl who's the news reporter is so bad I don't even know what her name is. When she gets fused with Psyduck, she can talk as Psyduck, right? But then everybody else who is a Pokemon can't.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure because there was something that when I was reading, I was like, hold on, that kind of doesn't make sense. One big thing that really irritates me, right? Kind of like with Fergie being in a movie, kind of with like Rihanna being in Battleship and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I get it because like they may be good at acting or whatever. I get that.
I'm not singing, you should say. They're good at singing.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? They are a musician, right? And then there are people who could be actors and whatever, and because they are famous, like that's almost what gets them the role. And you may not know that the scientist who's like talking about Mewtwo and stuff like that is Rita Ora, right? So I don't know if you know her. She's like British. Kosovan kind of like singer, really, really famous in Britain, right?
Yeah, she's not famous over here.
Right, so she's irritating because she's not necessarily known for being an actor. Like, that's probably the first ever thing I've seen her act in.
Mm-hmm.
And she played the role of a scientist, which I did not buy because I know who was acting as that person.
It's
Do
like
you get
seeing
what I'm
Selena
saying?
Gomez as a scholar or something like that.
Potentially, right? And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying anything derogatory regarding that. But
Yeah.
what I find irritating is that better people to play that role who are actors. Do you get what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
the only main actor that is right, and then it's like they've had to chuck somebody else in that people would know, and it's just like, well, why when you're using 90 like Bill Nye and freaking Ryan Reynolds, just chuck somebody in who would be a believable scientist. Do you know what I mean? And it's just shit like that that really sort of got to me. I was just like, oh, it's just lazy, man. I find it really, really annoying.
But P2, Ryan Reynolds is hot.
Yeah, I've got a problem with Ryan Reynolds. But, like the saying though, that if you picked anybody else but Ryan Reynolds, would that movie got half as much press as it did?
Yeah, what if they had chosen Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage could have been like the Eddie Murphy. Could you imagine?
Actually, you cut out when you said the joke, and
Oh no! I said, could you imagine Nick Cage played like every character?
yeah. Dude, Nick Cage, he's all the voices for the Pokemon, and he's every character, and I think that's a highly marketable movie, way
Heck
more
yeah.
marketable than anything he's been in the last like 5-10 years.
Nick Cage doing Psyduck's voice, like.
Sigh! Yai! Yai!
That would be class. That would be
Pikachu.
good.
And don't give him anything to like go off of either. If he's never seen Pokemon or anything like that, just be like, okay, say this word. He's like, Pikachu. Pikachu.
We've got loads of bee drills for no reason. Just he goes, the bees.
Not the bees.
That's what it's got to be done. It's got to be done.
They have to edit him saying drill at the end because he forgot to say that. So it's like, not the bees, drill.
No, drill. Like he'll be kind of like all like philosophical. But yeah, I thought Detective Pikachu was a weak AF film. And
where do you think they're gonna go with it in the future? Because
I don't think they can.
Well, they got Ryan Reynolds and his Detective Pikachu character with him, and then the kid. It was a happy ending, and
but then what? So they're gonna have it like of where Ryan Reynolds is then teaching him, and then Pikachu becomes then the kid's partner, and then they go and solve crimes, and it's gonna be like, it's trash, isn't it? Because realistically, it's becoming like a freaking murder mystery.
Let me ask you this: as a person from the UK, you probably grew up with Sherlock Holmes, right?
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's like as thing as you like it. It is if you did like English literature. But then, realistically, in terms of like film and TV, it's only when Downey Jr. and then Cucumber Bitch became the Sherlock characters.
But let me just ask you, as a person who grew up with Sherlock Holmes as a story instead of a movie.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the portrayal of just every detective character having the same hat? And then also, did you see that recent movie that came out called Holmes and Watson? Did you see anything about it? It has Will Ferrell and his buddy that's in every one of his movies, and they played Sherlock and Holmes, of course.
With John C. Reilly. I think I saw trailers for it, but I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, you don't need to see it. Okay, you don't need to tell you that.
Okay.
You can. There's a really good review about it on it's a channel called Cynical Reviews, and he did the whole thing about it. But the question is, when there's so many Sherlock Holmes references everywhere, do you get annoyed by that, as a person who likes, or maybe not likes, but learned about Sherlock from the book standpoint?
It's one of those things. I think that when at the moment it seems to be sort of culture aspect of where they are taking things that have been successful and then they're trying to sort of redo them in today's standards. So like you have a lot more hipster kind of references, a lot more slang kind of references, a lot more, landmark type references and stuff like that. So I get it from a literary point of view because you always want to try and do something new. So, like, for instance, like when I was growing up, I remember when I was looking to go to sort of different universities, I met these people and their comprehensive school, so their second middle school, I suppose. So they were like 15, 16. I don't know if that's middle school, high
That'd be
school.
high school for us. Yeah.
Okay, so they did a different version of Romeo and Juliet, but they used a particular.
They used gnomes.
No, they used a regional dialect for it.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the way that they kind of do it, there's a place called Bristol where they all talk a little bit like this. My barbers. So they've got a bit of a weird voice about it. So when you're talking about like love and romance, like you sound a little bit derpy. So they use those kind of accents to recreate it. So they transformed it so from like a kind of tragedy, kind of tragedy to like almost like a love comedy type thing. So I can get it of like when you're being things like that, but then it's kind of like too many cooks spoil the broth. You know the phrase of like where if you do it too much, you just kill it.
Yeah.
Like you've made one too many Fast and Furious movie. You've made one too many Call of Duty game. You've made, like,
Yeah.
I can't think of another reference, whatever. But that's kind of like the thing with it. So I can see why they went down the comedy route. But traditionally speaking, I want to see a TV show where I'm trying to work out what's going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the other Sherlocks, it's like, oh, who could have done that? How could they have done it? How did he work it out? And I love because then the aspect is on the cinematography, less about the acting because the acting is so good. And I think that when the acting becomes a problem, it doesn't matter how well you write it or how well you direct it, it's going to come off as kind of slapstick, which when it becomes like, say, like if they did it with James Bond, people would not react well with it. With Sherlock is a similar type thing. And I think that sometimes a genre just doesn't work with something in particular. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if like you...
Yeah.
Go on, I don't know if like you sort of get my point.
I get.
It becomes a little bit irritating. Yeah,
I
so
get. It's kind of like
So, yeah.
it's kind of like how many different renditions of I don't even know what I was about to say. I was gonna ask, is Benedict Cumberbatch in the realm of good Sherlock characters, or
I
is
would
he?
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I don't know.
yeah.
Have you seen the TV series that he's in?
I watched
Sherlock?
the first season, which on Netflix there's like 3 episodes per season.
Yeah.
So I watched the first one there, and it was really intriguing. Just the episodes are a little bit long for a person like me.
I see. Right. The thing is because when you look at someone in terms of Sherlock's intelligence, he has to be on the spectrum in some capacity, and I think that he plays him well because, whereas like with Robert Downey Jr., because he's so charismatic, just generally speaking, it doesn't kind of make his Sherlock weird in any way. Do you know what I mean? So with Benedict Cumberbatch's version, it was really good because it kind of showed his social like standing with certain people and how his social interactions with people were way off because his like in terms of like a sort of scale because of his intent like his insight and his whatever kind of deduction skills were so high, like kind of like they've had to drop other things, and I think that came into his character like really, like a dry sense of humor, which is kind of what Britain is good for, I suppose. So whereas I think maybe another country, maybe a little bit more obvious kind of thing. I don't know, but
I think the humor connected with the American audience. Me personally, I felt like the humor is fine. It's kind of like a Monty Python situation where some jokes don't land because we just don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't get the reference, right?
And then most of them do land because it's not like a nationality or a country thing. It's just general hilarity or funniness.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you though, I watched Life of Brian not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it before. And that movie shot right up to one of my favorites of all time. I'm not gonna lie, it was so hilarious. And growing up in a Christian household, where if back then if I had said I didn't believe in Jesus, I would have been baptized again. And it's just so humorous how they take like that just the whole story of it's not Jesus, it's what was his name, Nathan or something, and
Brian.
or Brian, duh, it's the name of that fucking movie, Yemmy.
Life of Brian, anyone?
And he gets he's just thrown into this plot that's it's just so funny, and
Yeah.
I love the cult people,
Yes.
and it's just so hilarious to me. Like, it was better than the Holy Grail, I felt like. And a lot of
Wow.
people will that's a conspiracy, huh? But I enjoyed it more than the Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. Even though they're about the same level, I think that, like, especially the ending was just so much fun and so funny. I was laughing through the whole thing. Even my fiance, who doesn't laugh at hardly anything that I show her, was laughing. I just love that ending. They're all on the crosses. They're all just singing and having a good time.
I do like it though, but then I think for me personally, the Holy Grail has more like areas of topic where it almost like crosses into modern life type thing.
Yeah, especially with the rabbit,
The rabbit, and then you got the Black Knight. So like we've done it before where like we're playing a game of football and we play on AstroTurf type pitches, and if you fall on that on your bare skin, it's gonna like take half your leg off.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah, so we just say, oh, 'tis merely a scratch, that kind of thing. So like it kind of like all into it, which is kind of nice. But Monty Python's classic, you can't really touch it really. Like there's nothing quite like it.
If they went back and George Lucas those films, people would be outraged even more so because as they are with they couldn't have horses in there. So what? They're gonna CGI horses in and be like, this is what we meant to be the whole time.
Yes, I just like it. You got like that guy with.
Yeah, he just got the coconuts.
Amazing.
It was an ingenious thing to do, and not something that you or I probably would have thought of to do.
No,
we would just been like, well, we can't get horses. Guess we're screwed.
But the thing is, it's one of those amazing things. Like, I don't know if you've got it, but like when I was growing up, I had like my grandparents would be like, oh yeah, my granddad especially would be like, oh, what Monty Python movies and stuff like that. And so it's something that was funny to me then, and it's funny to me now, and then potentially even in like 20 years' time, I'm gonna say, right, you need to watch these, and they're still gonna be funny. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where be like, I can watch it again. Whereas things like, The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, I like the movie, but I'm not gonna recommend it for future generation. Do you get what I mean? So like,
it's not timeless,
just,
like
yes,
Monty
exactly,
Python.
yeah, definitely. But yeah,
So,
go on.
Well, I think we're gonna move on from the topic if you don't have anything else to say, because
I'm good. Go on.
I have something that I want to bring up.
Oh God.
What is your most anticipated video game for the rest of the year, P2?
Borderlands
Do you have
3.
one?
That's the only game I'm really giving a crap about right now.
Hey, I tend to agree with you, and I do agree with you. And as anyone who follows the channels knows, I spent a lot of money to get the collector's edition. And
Good boy.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for it. It's one of those things. It's like, I love Borderlands. I've been with it since the beginning.
Yes.
And it's another one of those games where, I played the first game and I was like, it's a good game, but it's a little boring. Then Borderlands 2 came out.
I found
it
Borderlands
punched you in the face.
1 better than 2.
I don't know about that.
In my opinion, Borderlands 1 is better than Borderlands 2. In my opinion.
Well, I just feel like the jokes land better in Borderlands 2. The game
I think
plays
it's
a little
because
bit
they
better.
were allowed to get away with it because Borderlands 1 hit so well.
Yeah, well, maybe. But yeah, I'm excited for it. The DLC for Borderlands 2 that was free, and that's not free anymore, unfortunately. So y'all missed your chance.
You missed out.
That hyped me up a lot for the game because they introduced so many of those characters who you thought were never coming back. There's characters from the Tales from the Borderlands game that I wouldn't have thought they would include that in the lore simply because, it's a Telltale game.
It's a time of Phantom Jack, so it does fit the time.
It does fit, but like I said, I didn't think that they were actually going to include anything from it because of the fact that
This is like a separate game.
It's a separate game. It's completely different, game styles and everything. But
what I like about it though is that it's given a nod to Telltale.
I don't know if I like that. I wasn't a big fan of Telltale.
What? I like this stuff. I think they copy and pasted their games too much.
My problem is that in the beginning, Telltale made these great games. They made the Back to the Future video game that was an episodic game. They made the Max games and all those games. They made the Jurassic Park game, which was actually really fun.
I didn't even know
And
that.
then the Walking Dead, the original Walking Dead season was great. The story
The
was
Walking
there.
Dead,
Everything was there.
amazing. There's no way Walking Dead is an amazing series.
Yeah, I agree with people giving it the game of the year for that year. I agree with that. But Wolf Among Us came out, which was another crackerjack old boy type
Yes.
game. It was amazing.
I've
And
read
then something happened.
3 Fables, by the way, now.
Oh, yes! I love the Fable comics. They're
The
really
Fables,
good.
they're dark as hell, bro.
Yeah,
Like, it's so, I was like, holy shit, okay.
but
Sorry,
something
carry on.
happened. Something happened after the Wolf Among Us and that first season, because after that, season 2 came out, and I felt like they lost their way with the storytelling and the ability to kind of choose your adventure. Things just didn't make sense. Like, you could do as much as you could to make sure that those characters liked you, and they still get into a truck and leave. Or, this character, he ran his course. There's no way you can save him. He just automatically dies. The same thing happened in season 3, which I thought was better, but there was a character who you save in like the 4th episode. It's like one of those choice things. You can either save him or let him go. And if you say either one that you save, they both die at the same spot. And it's like this doesn't like affect anything.
Yeah.
There's a spot like that in season 2 where it's like one of the first, should I save this guy or this guy? Well, no matter what, the one guy dies, and no matter what, the other guy dies like an episode later, trying to get through a fence. He gets stuck in the fence and gets eaten by zombies, and it's like, well, my choice doesn't really matter here. And then as you go on, like the Batman games and stuff like that, they just missed the mark for me every single step of the way. And then they didn't upgrade the graphics, they didn't update the gameplay enough in time for the 4th season and final season of Walking Dead. So when they closed down, I understood. Telltale closed down. I understood why they did that. Why they closed down.
I personally felt like they were creating too many games at the same time.
And then it was taking them way too long to get episodes out.
Yeah, but the thing is like, if that was a business standpoint, right, they would have cancelled production on everything else and just focused on everything to do with the most successful franchise, which was Walking Dead, right? There's no two ways about it, because it was an episodic thing. I remember buying each episode, like, when it came out.
Yeah.
So I could play it, right? And like you said, if I let somebody die, it would come back around to kick me in the ass. Like, if I let somebody live, they would do something later on to help me out. Do you see what I mean? And that customized the sort of gameplay. Whereas, like you said, then it becomes just the game. Whereas, like, it's going to happen either way. So who actually gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? It's happening one way or the other. And I think that when you're pumping out games that are the exact same, nobody wants to play all of them, because, like, if you're not interested in butterfly games, once you've done one, done them all, it's just a different plot and it's just a different character. Like, there's nothing really that's gonna, shock value is gonna be at an all-time low, isn't it? So I think, like, if you're going, all right, we're making a Batman one, we're making a Guardians one, we're gonna make another Walking Dead, we're gonna make a Wolf Among Us, we're gonna make this one, now we're gonna make a Game of Thrones one, now we're gonna make another one, then we're gonna make Tales of the Board, and it's just like, right, let's just focus on here. I understand why you're doing reasons, but Game of Thrones has lasted what, 10 years or something? Like, so you could have played this, you could have taken your time with it to make sure it was really good. With Borderlands, they must have known at some point that, Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 was going to be like a long style game. People are still playing it now, right? Even before Borderlands 3 was announced. With Batman, like, the first, what was like Arkham Asylum, like, it was not a game where every single person wanted it. So, do we really want to Telltale? Or are you doing it just because it's Batman? But then, do we need this? And I think that because they started building up, and they're like, oh, look, it's popular at the moment, so we got to do it. It's popular at the moment, so we got to do it. It's like you're spreading your resources way too thin, so that the games become weaker, which means that then your sort of name doesn't carry the same weight as it did from, like, episode 1 of Walking Dead. Do you know what I mean? And that for me was irritating, because I like the butterfly games. I like what's that PS game? Until Dawn or something like that.
Yeah, Until Dawn was like the
Whereas, like,
butterfly effect game.
yeah. So I was watching people play that, and I'm shit, like, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm so intense, like, because of what I think could happen, and like your decision really did make an impact on it. I felt like that was like more intense than any other Telltale game that I've played, and I didn't even play it. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Well,
that's they lost their element, they lost their niche when they started doing that.
yeah, I will tell you, Until Dawn definitely was better than any Telltale game I played, but it still had those same problems where you couldn't get a character killed until they wanted you to get him killed.
Yeah.
So essentially, there's this part where, um, the girl, or I'm getting things mixed up because there's some parts that are scripted and there's some parts where if you miss a prompt,
You're
it's
gonna
all
get
over.
hit in the face.
But
yeah.
at the end of the game, where the house is being invaded by
Yes.
the Wenja, I think they're called,
Yeah.
right? The Wenja. They
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. And there's this part where you have to hold the controller really still or you get caught. Well, you can mess that up 3 times in a row. The first time they just kind of go towards you. The second time they kill the dude, and the third time they actually kill the character you are. So trying to get that last character, yeah, Wendigos. That's it, not Wenja. I think Wenja was
I just had to say it. I had to say it to dude because he was doing my head in.
But yeah, it's just like it was way better. You had a lot more choice, a lot more things going on. And the characters were a lot more likable, and the story was well put together.
Insane.
Oh yeah, the graphics were great, and I just I feel like the first half of that game is really really good, and it really sets up everything well. And I really wish that they had went the Saw way with it instead of it just being like an elaborate prank by the one guy, by Josh.
Yeah, prick.
I really would have liked to see them.
When his like died, I was like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? Like, I was having like trauma issues. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what?
Yeah, I would like they are putting out more games. That same studio, they have the Inpatient out now, and there's also like a new like collection of games coming out as well.
There's another game similar to that where it's like you're like the attorney and you're trying to get someone put into jail or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
No. So like, it's kind of like it's like a butterfly effect game. Oh shit! I can't remember what it's for. What it's called.
Is every character a bird or an animal?
No.
Okay.
It's like a game where Hidden Agenda. Have you seen that?
I think I saw Douglas and Dragons play that.
Where it's like it could be like multiplayer. So like you can have like your friends over and you're playing it, watching a live action. I thought like how sick is that for like a game for like interaction levels? Whereas essentially you're playing the game, but it's like you're in a movie and you're deciding what happens. Like that's mental. Like and so because
I think Final Destination 4 was like that.
Go on, sorry.
I think Final Destination 4 was like that. Well, if you got the DVD copy of the movie, you could choose who lives and dies as the movie went on. Yeah, I think so. It's the one with the roller coaster on. I don't know if it's 3 or 4.
Oh, see, that's another franchise that like did way too many films.
Paranormal Activity.
Everyone knows what's happening. There's gonna be something. Oh look at me right now. There's like cards behind me. That means like a card, and I'm gonna be like dead in a card factory.
The razor sharp card is gonna fall off the.
Yes, exactly. Oh wait, look on my mask. There's a tentacle, which means I'm gonna go swimming and I'm gonna get killed by an octopus. Like it's that kind of shit, innit? And it's just like every single time you're like, okay, so I'm now actually just playing hide and seek with what's gonna kill them, rather than like actually being freaked out by shit that happens.
Right.
So it becomes almost kind of like a guessing game. Like the one, I'm not sure which Final Destination it is when they're at like a theme park and there's a picture of a guy and they take a picture of him and he's kind of like leaning, and then because they're in the queue for like a ride, there's like a fan in the corner of like the booth, and then I was like, oh okay, so it's just like a picture, because obviously I didn't the film was really about, and then obviously later on he's involved in a crash, and then the propeller fan of a truck is the thing that like slices his head open. I was just like, oh okay, so it was the fan. I get it now. I understand.
Ominous.
Yeah. I wonder how everyone else is gonna die. The guy who with a tree. I wonder what's gonna happen. Like, and it becomes almost like less horror and more. Oh yeah.
Well, those movies, the Saw franchise is another one that just kind of went on for too long without changing anything. Those movies are just made for the gore factor. They want to
Yeah.
get as bloody and gory as they can with CGI and practical effects,
Or
and that's what draws people in.
Eli Roth, who does Hostels and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a horror fan in any way, shape, or form. So if I've seen a horror movie, it's purely by mistake. And
Yeah, I startle very very easily. Like if
Yeah.
someone like barged
No.
through my door right now, I'd probably have half of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it happens during like the most normal movies. Zootopia, there was a scene where a guy like smacked up against something and it made me jump.
When they've been in like they've eaten like the thing that makes him go crazy, and he's
Yeah.
I had the exact same. Definitely, yeah. So
Gunshots also get me in the theater, and if it's like I can actually see the gun and I know it's gonna fire, but as soon as that gun fires, I jump. That's just how I am.
if I can see it, I
It's a loud noise, P2. I'm like my dog. I get scared very easily.
Fair enough, but yeah, no. So Eli Roth is one of those ones who tries to get like what was that film with like piranhas? Is it literally called Piranha? Where like they go on the
Piranha
piranha just,
3D.
oh, is it? And then they just like, even if they just dip their toe in, like the piranha eats their toe, and it's just like, okay.
Did you see the Meg,
The Meg?
the giant shark movie? There was a giant shark in it.
No.
Okay,
I remember seeing like random clips with like, is Jason Statham in?
the bald guy.
British odd
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
He's in it. And
Yeah, I think I've seen, like,
that movie
random-
was quite a disappointment. Not as big of a disappointment as Godzilla, the newest Godzilla movie. But I
Okay.
will say this: the Meg had some really nice moments where it felt like a genuine shark movie. But it was very campy. The
What do
acting
you mean?
was iffy.
It's not like Sharknado? It's not like a legit story?
It's Sharknado. There's another series that was just too much.
This is one of the things that me and my friend used to, because he liked like the slapstick horror.
You
whereas
cut out there.
I'm
You
not.
cut out there for a second.
Oh, one of my friends from university, we used to watch like I think it's Crank House or something like that, where they made like the almost slapstick styled horror movies. So you had like one called Rubber, where it's like a wheel that can.
I
keep
love
explode.
Rubber. I love
Yeah.
Rubber.
Right?
Oh my God!
So-
Dude, that is crazy that you brought that up. That is crazy.
and then,
Oh my
like,
gosh, I have the DVD
Yeah.
and everything with the
Yeah,
3D cover
so do
on
I.
it.
Yeah, so with like stuff like that. Right? So I think we used to watch those kind of shit, but he loved it, whereas I was like kind of cringing because I hate like the gore and the horror and shit. And
Right.
yeah, we used to watch like bullshit like that. But I get onto the
Human
topic because I
Centipede?
saw yeah, exactly right. Of where they've made a new one. Instead of Sharknado, it's a tornado with freaking zombies in it.
Ooh.
Yeah, right, because that's also possible.
Do you remember there was the polar vortex going through America, and someone made a meme that was just called Polar Vortex, and it had the same like tornado kind of thing, but it had polar bears instead of sharks in it. I don't know if you saw
Alright.
that. That was kind of interesting.
Oh
It
no,
wasn't
sorry,
a real movie.
it's a zombie tornado.
It's a zombie tornado.
There's
There's a lot of movies that come out.
no.
Yeah. Uh-oh, you cut out and you're laughing. I missed
Oh
something.
shit! It's called Zombie Tidal Wave.
Zombie tidal wave? Okay.
Yeah. Oh my.
Wow, what a
It
name.
goes- and I've just gone onto IMDb, right? Because it's
Yeah.
due out this year apparently.
Oh, wow.
Unless it's already
I'm
out.
hyped now.
It goes, a fisherman contends with an ocean-borne outbreak that threatens his seaside island community.
Whoa. Kind of like Dead Island, huh?
Yeah, right?
I think Dead Island might have some sewage. Some
Mate.
in the sewer.
Imagine Dead Island as a film.
We lost
How-
so much money with the games. We just got. We
Well,
had to do it to 'em.
That's a game where the trailer is better than the game.
You know, the funny thing is, the remaster of the Riptide and Dead Island 1, I love that. And I actually
think
really enjoyed
Dead
Riptide.
Island was one of the first zombie games I played where I was shitting myself walking around the corner, because usually in zombie games, if they're on the don't get up. Whereas, like, that was the first game that I played where you could walk around the corner and then one would, like, grab you and you're like, oh shit, right, okay.
Yeah, Dying Light was like that too, and I really enjoyed both of those
I
games.
couldn't play Dying Light by myself because it took me, and I no word of a lie, 40 minutes to kick a zombie to death because I did not know how to drop kick.
The whole point of that game is kicking them off the rooftops.
Yeah, but like I was so scared to move because like I just started playing it. So I had it's like, oh, please die.